What's up guys, my name is Alastair and I think a lot of you might know me from doing like podcast videos. You hear me talk a lot of nonsense, but actually when I don't do podcast videos, I'm a psychology student in NTU and I learn a lot of little things that actually are quite interesting that I can apply in real life. So one of the things that me and my friend got to thinking about was, what are some things in real life that we can improve using the things that we have learned? And the first thing we thought of was the Dhoby Ghaut MRT station. And if anyone knows the Dhoby Ghaut MRT station, you guys will understand my frustration. It's probably one of the worst design stations because I feel like it's just really complicated. It's very difficult to navigate around. And therefore, we went ahead and did a study on
Dhoby Ghaut. It's a station that everybody knows, whether you're local or tourist. It's the station that you go to if you want to go to places like Fort Canning, the Istana and Plaza Singapura. It's also an interchange that services 3 different lines: Circle Line, Purple Line and Red Line. However, because of how complicated it is, having an impeccable wayfinding system is of paramount importance. You don't want to be late like Amirah.
It was just once! Anyways, the purpose of a good wayfinding system is to guide people to their intended location as quickly and as effortlessly as possible, without experiencing any forms of fear or stress in the process of it. But here's the thing, the Dhoby Ghaut wayfinding system fails at pretty much all of it.
So here's what we did. We designed 4 tasks to evaluate the effectiveness of the wayfinding system in Dhoby Ghaut Station. Next, we recruited 4 lab rats.
Hey dude, come man, you stop calling that problem.
Yeah, lab rats what? So next, we recruited 4 participants to do these tasks. With that, we strapped on our GoPros and headed off to the MRT station.
For task 1, participants started at City Hall Station, which is 1 stop away from Dhoby Ghaut Station. They are then given the following scenario. You are meeting your friend at the Singapore Shopping Centre for desserts. However, you are very late and you have to reach there as quickly as possible. To help you save time, you have to plan ahead for which exit to take. Use the resources you have on the train to decide which exit to take. In the ideal scenario, participants should realize that STARIS 2.0 provides them with information about the various exits and the destinations corresponding to those exits. Following STARIS 2.0, they are then to realize that they should take exit A to get to the Singapore Shopping Centre. But as you know, life is always not that simple. Out of the 4 participants, only one thought of using STARIS 2.0 to complete the task.
In the moment STARIS started playing, then he just went straight up to it. Actually, the moment the exit A came out and Singapore Shopping Centre was there, it took him less than a few seconds, then he was like, hey, there? Singapore Shopping Centre.
However, the others did not.
Yeah.
But there's no map!
When I first told her about the task, she proceeded to pace up and down the MRT cabin itself, trying to find anything that will help her. We literally were like moments before reaching Dhoby Ghaut. I actually pointed it to her. I was like, hey, clues that is on STARIS. And she was not the only one who had this problem.
So he keep telling me to use like whatever help you can inside the train cabin. But then I didn't realize that I can actually use the STARIS for directions. And it's also quite fast. But it shows for a short while only, then it's gone.
I think generally for everyone, it was quite difficult to keep up with STARIS and actually notice which exit to take.
For task 1, for Xing, he actually saw the STARIS and was quite amazed by it. But instead of looking at the information that was presented on STARIS, he was more distracted by the advertisements that were being displayed on the adjacent screen.
Okay, basically because the train ride is quite short, so for me to really notice what is being displayed there was only the advertisement. I was watching the advertisement instead of the information that is given.
To counter this problem, we propose the following solutions. Firstly, the map displayed on STARIS 2.0 should be simplified. We propose removing animations because, as impressive as they are, come on, they serve no purpose and are distracting as well. We also propose reducing the escalators and elevators to simple and intuitive signs. And we also propose removing the colours because they serve no purpose. Secondly, we also propose utilising the second screen to display additional information such as additional destinations that commuters might be interested in. However, during transit, in order to increase SMRT's advertisement revenue, we propose alternating between information and the advertisements displayed.
For the second task, participants are given this scenario. You are a tourist who is here with your family in Singapore for the first time. You have read online that the Istana is a popular tourist attraction and you would love to visit it. However, your kids are starting to get tired from all the walking, and so you have to find and take the shortest route possible. In the ideal scenario, the participants will take exit C, which is the shortest possible route to get to Istana. However, none of our participants did that. In fact, they all took exit B. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. All our participants saw the exit B sign leading to Istana. They all saw it, they all trusted it, but it took a significantly longer time than if they had taken exit C instead.
Just before I tap out from the gantry, usually there are signboards there telling you which exit to take if you're going certain locations. So I just looked for Istana and I found exit B.
Quite obvious direction was to go through by exit B. B. Like under the exit B sign, there were like different places, and Istana is one of them. Can check.
So that she relied on the locality map. But then on the locality map, it says Istana Park instead of the Istana. So after that, she pointed at the Istana Park, then she tell me, "There, the Istana." Then I was like, okay, sure bro. You were pointing at the Istana Park, instead of Istana. But do you realize there's a difference?
No. No.
For task 2, Amanda just went to the locality map and she actually pointed at Istana Park and said,
Oh, Istana Park was alright.
"Okay, sure." And actually thought it was Istana. She just went up to exit B and took us through a long stroll in the hot sun with my heavy backpack. When she came back and I told her,
but actually exit C, right, is right there.
Oh.
That's exit C.
Okay.
So you could literally just walk like this much.
I was quite surprised that you can actually just go from that exit to Istana.
Then I really felt quite betrayed lah, because you know I need to walk one round from exit B and then it's like so hot weather. Then I realised there's such a shorter route to it. I mean, exit B still leads me to Istana, just that if there's a better way, they could introduce another way lah, instead of just exit B.
To curb these issues, we propose the following recommendations. Firstly, instead of labelling Istana on exit B, label Istana on exit C, which is on the other side of the station. Secondly, we proposed adding locality maps to the platform areas right outside the train doors, so that commuters will be able to look at the maps the moment they leave the train, and you don't have to tap out the gantry just to look at the maps. So finally, we propose adding pictures to these maps showing where Istana and Istana Park is, so that commuters will be able to tell the difference between the two and decide how to plan their routes.
For task 3, participants are given the following scenario. You are a photography enthusiast and your friend recently recommended you to take pictures at Fort Canning Underground Crossing. Your phone only has 5% of battery left and you will need your phone until you meet your friend at the underground crossing. You have just arrived at Dhoby Ghaut MRT station and you have to only make use of the locality map to locate the nearest exit to reach your location. Ideally, participants should be able to identify the Fort Canning Underground Crossing on the map represented by a pair of dotted lines. From there, they will be able to locate the nearest exit to get to their location. While most of our participants managed to locate the underground crossing, it definitely did not come easy.
I couldn't find the Fort Canning underground crossing.
He just pointed out like, I think Fort Canning Park, Fort Canning Hill or something. Then I was like, no, it's an underground pass.
she actually took quite a long time to find the underground crossing because she scanned the entire map basically from top to bottom. She took a really long time before she managed to get there. Even when she did, she wasn't very sure that it was the underground crossing.
Okay. Sure. After you.
Actually, the Fort Canning underpass wasn't written. It's a bit ambiguous.
She wasn't very sure when she found the Fort Canning underground pass.
Yeah.
There's no confirmation to let her know that that's the underground pass. She had to make inferences.
The underground is quite tough lah. It's because I drive for many years, so I know dotted line might means underground. For us to really spot underground is quite hard lah. Yeah, especially for foreigners, it's even tougher.
I only did it by guessing, but if someone else guessed wrongly, then they might end up somewhere else and they might end up lost. So
because I saw Amanda was like really flustered, I actually asked her, so which exit should you take? As a follow-up question. She managed to find that it was exit A, but because the map wasn't oriented in the right direction, when I asked her where exit A was, she didn't know where she was in relation to everything else in space. She was just pointing around and like spinning around just to kind of gather where she was.
there is a high possibility that you will still get lost lah. Yeah.
To improve the locality map, here are some recommendations. Firstly, we can use consistent and standard symbols such as this to indicate special features in the area. Secondly, to improve hierarchical arrangement, we can bold the more popular places visited as suggested by one of our participants.
I don't know, maybe like those, I don't know what I call it, like more important places, right? Can be like bigger font or something. Bigger size font. Everything looks the same one. And then it's all the same color.
Lastly, we can orientate the map to face the direction the user is facing. Another way to do so is to use an arrow instead of a circle to give a better idea of where things are in relation to the user.
For the final task, participants are given the following scenario. You are a tourist who is looking to get to Haw Par Villa, as you have heard there is a popular theme park designed around Chinese folklore. You are currently running late, as you're supposed to meet your Singaporean friend who promised you to give you a tour of the theme park. However, you do not know which Circle Line MRT station is nearest to it. Thus, you are trying to locate the nearest passenger service centre to get some assistance. Ideally, participants will locate the passenger service centre that's one level above the Circle Line MRT platform, as is the nearest. However, none of our participants did this and instead backtracked all the way back to the gantries to find the passenger service centre.
For the fourth task, Guo Jing, instead of locating the nearest PSC which was on the platform that I brought him to, he went back up to bring me to the northeast line, the purple line PSC.
So it's actually there? Where? Oh, this one who will know, yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about the placement of this passenger service centre?
This one can ask them sit inside already lah, can rest.
It's at the place where there's no traffic, no one walks, and it's like a hidden gem lah. It's basically like a cafe that no one knows lah. It's like a Ulu cafe.
Amanda also had difficulty finding this passenger service centre. Amanda just brought me up to the Purple Line passenger service centre and called it a day. but when I showed her the Circle Line passenger service centre, she was actually quite shocked that it even exists. There's a passenger service centre right there. To be fair, before we started this project, only Bryant knew it existed. On the other hand, the other two participants came close to finding it.
He walked to the Circle Line side, and he literally looked in the direction of the PSC, the Passenger Service Centre. Then he stared at that place for a long time, and then he turned back.
I was looking at the correct direction, but I didn't try to probe further because I didn't see any significant foot traffic. So it wasn't a clear sign to me that there is something there. Normally you would expect it to be at the gantry area.
So for task 4, what I noticed is that she didn't notice the PSC even though she was looking in the general direction.
Upstairs.
But in the end, she looked away and she backtracked all the way to the initial gantry that she came from. So that shows that the PSC above the Circle Line station is very obscure, to the point whereby even if you look in the general direction, you wouldn't have noticed it.
Maybe they could put a bigger sign like passenger service, then they arrow. Let's say if that's the only place that they can actually put the counter, but they should put like a bigger sign where people are travelling in the main atrium centre. Yeah.
Based on those problems, we recommend two solutions. The first solution is the most obvious one. Just re-erect the entire passenger service centre to a place that is more visible. However, we recognize that it might not be very feasible or practical and thus recommend the second solution. We recommend using directional signages at decision points atop the escalators or staircases leading up to the level of the passenger service centre.
And with that, we've come to the end of our 2 weeks long data collection process. After sweating out under the sun for hours and walking to the Istana for way too many times, we've finally come to the end of our study. However, something just doesn't really seem very satisfying. Our recommendations are good, but maybe it's time to go big or go home.
Hey, get me out of the station.
Take a left at the escalator and tap out of the station.
While we're stuck here, how do I get to Plaza Xing?
Take exit C for Plaza Singapura, but I would suggest waiting as the mall is extremely crowded now.
Okay, never mind. How do I get to Fort Canning Centre?
Take a right after exiting the gantry, and take exit B to go to Fort Canning Centre.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Have a nice trip.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Dhoby Ghaut MRT station has high human traffic. It will continue to be so even with or without COVID. The same tried and tested features found in the station are also found in pretty much every other station in Singapore. Perhaps it is time to rethink these features in Dhoby Ghaut Station about whether they are adequate, considering Dhoby Ghaut Station is a huge station with 3 different lines running through it and many landmarks around it as well. We hope that the feedback and the recommendations we have provided will be able to contribute to a more effective system.
Of course, whatever we say in this video, take it with a pinch of salt because we are psychology undergraduates, so what do we really know, right? Like, we haven't even graduated the course. If there are any psychology people who actually know what you're talking about, please leave it down in the comments down below, or if you want to come on and give some suggestions about what we can look into from a psychological perspective, do let me know as well. See you guys!